Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and I'm getting to you guys with The Shepherd's Rod. So, as promised, I'm getting to you guys with this because there needs to be some longer form videos on this book because, first off, I could not find any other versions of this book anywhere on the internet. The only other things that I could find were people that made PDFs of this book and put them on the internet, or they made websites that had the PDF of the book, but no one had this actual book. Like, I scoured the internet, couldn't find a trace of it, and besides, of course, those PDFs. And it isn't too rare for me to find books that have no other comps for them. I mean, that happens pretty often, but for a book that's sort of important like this one, I mean, it has a pretty interesting piece of American history behind it. For something like this, I was surprised to not find any comps on it. That being said, I did find some loosely related comps to run off of, so I just wanted to show you guys a couple things about this book. So, first things first, we have the copyright year. I can't guarantee that you guys saw that just because of how small the font is on that, but it's honestly fine. It's copyright 1932, and then it's by the author who owns the copyright. And next thing is the title page, and as you guys can probably not see there, though, it says the Universal Publishing Association, Mount Carmel Center, Waco, Texas. So the Mount Carmel Center, that is where they had the shootout, the property that was on, is where they had the shootout with the ATF and FBI all those years ago, and that, of course, was in Waco, Texas. So Waco, Texas, to this day, does still have members of the cult there, and I actually found out from one of you guys on my channel, you guys commented, and you said that there's still people that live on the actual site of where this all happened, which I thought was interesting. I hadn't heard that. I heard that they had moved down the road from there, but I didn't know they were still on the actual site. But last I did check, they do still own some land there, so it makes sense. But yeah, The Shepherd's Rod, very interesting book. No, I haven't read it, but the whole history behind it is very interesting for me. So I just wanted to, for this first video, I'm going to probably do a couple videos. The next one is going to be telling you guys basically how I priced this book, because since this is a YouTube channel and telling you guys how to run eBay businesses, I think telling you how I priced this and why I did what I did is going to be interesting. But that is, again, for another video. I have a little sticky note right here just to keep me reminded that that's something I want to address. But for this first video, I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about this whole sort of thing. So the Branch Davidian was an offshoot cult of the Seventh-day Adventists. And the Seventh-day Adventists, which have good theology, they basically kicked the guy who wrote this, V.T. Hutef, or Houtef, I don't know his name exactly. Honestly, I should have looked that one up. Not too important, though, because he was dead by the time the shootout happened. And VT stands for Victor. I don't know what T stands for. Again, it's not too important. But he died in 1955. But before he died, he was actually kicked out of basically kicked out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So the Seventh-day Adventist Church is just a denomination of the broader Christian Church, particularly like more of the Protestant Christian Church, not the Catholic. But they kicked him out because his theology was very not scriptural, because he was going off of, so like for Christianity, they have the actual Bible, and then from the Bible, if you expand on that and say, oh, I put on some rose-colored glasses and got some more, or I had an angel come to me and tell me some more. In Christianity, that is a big no-no, because as it says actually in the Bible, so here's a Bible right here from the 1800s, one of the scriptures is, hey, if anyone tries to like expand on what the Bible here says, and they like come like 200 years later or 2,000 years later, they're full of it. They're not actually telling you anything, especially if they're trying to change what the Bible says. These people are not actually Christians. This is a cult. This is the devil coming in and tricking these people into saying that something happens. Like, it is pretty explicit in saying these sorts of things, because the writers of the Bible were like, hey, there's going to be a time where people try to ruin things because everyone tries to corrupt anything good in the world. So that's what happened with this, and that's probably one of the reasons why the guy got kicked out, was he was expanding on what the Bible sort of said. So there's all that for that whole thing, and the cult ended up having, not under him, but under other leadership, following the guy's original theology, though they ended up having some pretty severe issues, especially like theological issues and moral issues and all these terrible things. So that's sort of what happens when you corrupt the original teachings, is you get some craziness going on and you end up shooting the government because you have way too many guns that are potentially illegal, and then bunch of bad stuff happens. Not a great situation all the way around. But really interesting stuff, though. Something I thought was one of the more interesting things about this book, and I don't know for sure if this is going to come through for you guys on it, but you guys could see here, the reason why I held it at the angle was you could see it's actually a sticker down here. So down here is where they had the information on the P.O. box that the original Branch Davidian had, and you guys can't see it through this, but because I'm a little bit resourceful, I knew that if I took my phone and took the screen and had the brightness coming through, I could actually read what was underneath the sticker. I could read the original text, and the original text was basically just telling you that it was the Universal Publishing Association on the top line. Underneath that, it had the P.O. box that they had in LA, and then the next one was, of course, telling you that it was from LA, California. So with that said, I'm actually pulling it up on my screen right here just so I can get the actual verbatim thing, because I don't want to struggle to find it again. Honestly, I should have pulled that up earlier. I'm sorry I didn't, and it looks like it's going to make me sign in. Ugh. Just a second. Sorry, guys. Ugh. But yeah, this book, it was interesting because they ended up changing the original place where it was published, essentially, is what they were trying to say, and making it so it was the Mount Carmel Center, because the Mount Carmel Center was their base of operations where they did all their culty stuff. So it looks like it's trying to notify my phone now. Ugh. Two-factor authentication, guys. It's the worst sometimes. But very interesting stuff, because the Shepherd's Rod, I mean, it doesn't sound like an aggressive cult sort of thing, but then you actually look into things a little bit more and you're like, oh, should I be holding this book? Will I be smited for this? You know, it's sort of funny because you don't normally find interesting cult stuff like this. For me, the closest thing to a cult sort of thing that I've had before this was Hitler's Mein Kampf. It was the first American edition. I sold that thing, I think I was asking $600, and I ended up selling it for less than that. I don't remember how much less, but it sold pretty quick. And the reason why I ended up selling it for less was the person that was like, hey, I'd like to buy this. I work in a college, and it was down in Berkeley, California. So I was like, okay, Berkeley, I mean, with it being California, is a little bit iffy because California has some crazy people, but it's a college person, so they probably aren't Nazis, but I know some college professors that are Nazis, but hopefully they aren't going to be a Nazi. And so far, we have not had a Nazi uprising in California, so I'd like to tell myself that I didn't sell it to the wrong person, but I was just happy to see it go to someone that was not a crazy Nazi cultist. But with all that said, though, this book, this one's going to be interesting to sell for sure when I come around to it. I actually have it listed right now. It's the only listing for it, so I might have just outed myself in my particular eBay store, but that's fine by me. Okay, so with all that said, I finally have it pulled up here on my computer. Sorry it took so long, but it looks like the original information was Universal Publishing Association, P.O. Box 68, Station K. So if you guys would like to send anything to the old P.O. Box, maybe you could do that. Find out who owns it now. Maybe they're part of a cult. Kidding, please don't do that. And that is from LA, California. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they did the sticker. Other later versions that I saw of this book, they ended up like having it, the original publishing information be Waco, Texas, and then they sharpied over that and made it something else. I thought that was pretty interesting. So this is the only book, because as I said, I couldn't find any comps on it, but this is the only book that I saw that did it this way, which I thought, again, was very, very interesting. So with all that said, though, guys, there were some other books that I found that were from the Branch Davidian and were older. So these other books, they were not hardcover books like this. So this is the only hardcover one I was able to find anywhere after hours of research. But the other ones that I was able to find, the other Branch Davidian books, they were little leaflets, pamphlets, that sort of stuff. And someone was selling them for between $75 a pot to a lot more than that. And I thought that was quite interesting. Those had sold months ago from where I'm filming this right now. But I thought it was interesting that there is definitely interest in these books, and some pretty valuable interest. And for me, having volume 2 of the Shepherd's Rod, one of the basically manifestos of the Branch Davidian, I was like, ooh, this is going to be a crazy, interesting, and potentially very valuable book. So with that said, guys, I am going to basically dive into the pricing, why I priced it the way I did in the next video. That's going to be linked right there, actually, not over there. You can subscribe right there to check out all my other videos. Guys, I'm going to be sharing all the different cool books that I get over the years because, as I said, I'm doing this YouTube channel basically to show you guys cool stuff, teach you guys cool stuff, and honestly, cults, those are something that can be pretty cool that you guys can fiddle with and trifle with, not being a part of cult, but selling stuff from cults that can be pretty valuable sometimes. So with all that said and done though, guys, I'd like for you guys to subscribe. Again, be sure to check out those other videos. I have some shorts up as well on this book, so I'll see you guys in the next one.